Call the meeting to order. Let's start off with the Pledge of Allegiance for those of us here at HQ. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Commissioner Lawrence, you have your hand up. It looks like it.
A little hand in the corner.
What's that little hand in the corner? Oh, thank you. I was wondering, I was like, that's pretty unique looking. All right. I don't have any corrections to the agenda. Does anybody have anything they want to add to the agenda? Once, twice, or yeah. Yeah.
There we go. Mr. Chair, I was wondering if I didn't see it on here and I thought maybe it would be on here, but I'm wondering if you're anticipating it is going to be on here. Resolutions for the chief and the executive assistant to the board, salary increases for 2023.
We still have to finish our reviews for that.
But will those resolutions be considered at any time tonight?
Maybe the chiefs if we get through our executive session.
Can we put that on the agenda? I think it's important for transparency that we
Sure,
have that on the agenda.
that would be item 15, then post the executive session. So we'd move adjournment to item 16.
And that's entitled what? Fire chief contract.
Yes,
Very good. Thank you.
thank you for calling that out. Anything else? All right. Welcome, Jim. Thanks for making me not the last one to walk in the door. I was only 60 seconds ahead of you.
Hey, I apologize for being late.
No problem.
Chair, can I, point of order, please?
Yeah.
Approval of the agenda
Yes.
as amended?
All those in favor of accepting the agenda, approving the agenda, the amended agenda, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Perfect.
May I get a second, please?
Uh,
Thank you.
Commissioner Farnhoff. Consent agenda, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items. Do we have any questions? Not seeing, but to entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda. Commissioner Lawrence moves. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Farnhoff. Any discussion? None appearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Meeting minutes. Anybody have any corrections to the minutes? All right, Chair, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes as stands for December 13th, 2022 work session, December 27th, 2022 special meeting, and January 3rd, 2023 regular meeting. Commissioner Teoflack moves. Is there a second? Second, Commissioner Farnhoff. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. All right, motion carries. Hey, we might make it out of here in 20 minutes.
You're on a roll.
Right? Public comment. Do we have anybody for public comment? Get up to 3 minutes. If there's anybody who would like to speak, please raise your hand. Nope. Okay. On to the fire chief's report. You were on. Now you're off. Now you're on. So I've been mine down a little bit so I can see the red.
Perfect. Okay, sounds good. I got to get a little bit lower in my chair too. So tonight, but good evening, commissioners, staff, and meeting attendees. Commissioners, I've emailed to you a summary of our COVID case count right now internally for our employee group and also our first watch operational report. You also have a hard copy in front of you on page 2 from the fire chief's report. And just want to, in summary, say that we have 7 employees currently out with COVID. And we are about 9% busier year over year than we were 2022 versus now the last 3 weeks in 2023. Chris G is going to be screen sharing a graphic for you now to talk about Saturday's events at the Everett Silver Tips game on Heroes Night, where our newest ladder truck helped hoist our nation's flag with a ladder truck from Everett there to the left. And one of our firefighter paramedics, who's a member of our Snohomish County Technical Rescue Team, his name is Jeff Brown, repelled from the scoreboard along with another colleague from the Everett Fire Department and delivered the ceremonial pucks. And then I joined 3 police chiefs, our county sheriff, and another fire chief from the county to drop one of those ceremonial first pucks and had the honor to do that. So great event, great representation from South County Fire at Heroes Night on Saturday. We had a lot of staff that joined as well and their families. Really good event, and saw a commissioner there as well. So appreciate the turnout. Next graphic, please, is a reminder for the public and our commissioners that we have a neighborhood night open house. That's this week on Thursday, February 9th, and that is from 5:30 to 7 p.m. And that is at our neighborhood Silver Firs Fire Station 13. Thank you, Chris. And then we talked a little bit about our technical rescue team. So this is information for the commissioners. We have an upcoming internal promotional process notification that should go out this week for our technical rescue team as well as our hazardous materials technician team. We currently have 8 openings on the team. So that'll be exciting for our firefighters that want to test and take that promotional opportunity. And then finally, Commissioner, South County Fire onboarded 15 new employees who joined our team as members of the Snohomish County Fire Training Academy Class 2023-1. And that academy starts on February 21st. We'll have the opportunity to meet those recruits next Tuesday night for introductions and our traditional swearing in ceremony. And with that, Commissioners, that concludes my fire chief report, unless there are any questions from the commission. Thank you, sir.
I have a question for you, Chief.
sir.
When I was here yesterday, I saw people coming out of the trading building.
Mhm.
Are these new recruits?
They could have been, or, we do have a lot of probationary employees that do what's called phase testing, but we do bring our recruits in for a pre-academy and they are on our grounds. And yes, it was most likely them.
How many of them are laterals from other agencies? Sound like there was a number of them when I was talking.
There is a number of laterals. I met them earlier this week and everyone comes with a set of experience from somewhere. Only a number of them qualified as laterals. We were actually just looking this evening, myself and Assistant Chief Isotelo. We know 3 of them are paramedics and one of which I believe is an entry level and 2 are laterals. Is that right, Jason? Okay. So everyone had experience at some level. We do have some laterals that have joined us from nearby fire agencies that worked for the Everett Fire Department or Snohomish Regional Fire and Rescue, to name 2. So it's a pretty experienced group, surprising.
And
For not being a summer lateral, academy like we put on last year. So
I said one of them has 8 years with another department. Does that sound about right?
yeah, 8 years with another department. We actually have somebody that's joining us that was with the Cobb County, Atlanta area, Georgia Fire Department that went to California, that's moved because of a business opportunity for his other half. That's brought to us a speaker of Mandarin. Which is really neat. It's a really talented group. So we'll look forward to introducing them to you next week. And we'll have them have the ability to briefly summarize. There's 15 of them. It's smaller class for us than it's been in some of the last classes, but 15 to briefly give you their bio too.
Okay. No, I was just surprised when somebody of 8 years came to our department. And so I know that, as I understand it, in the fire service, when you leave an agency, you leave that 8-year tenure behind and you start new. And so to me, that's a pretty significant life choice. It's
a significant way. When historically you get to that 5-year mark and you're pretty settled in, you're eligible to take promotional opportunities wherever you're at. We've done a good job historically of having a lot of laterals from other departments that, maybe joined from different areas too. And we got away from that for a little bit. It's a credit to our organization, what we're doing. I think organizational culture, the relationship, labor management, the relationship with the commission, having a stabilized labor agreement now for the first time in a lot of years. Last class, we attracted somebody from the Portland Fire Bureau. You don't see that. And so I see us continuing to be a place where people, maybe it's not the first place they land, but it's the first choice for the rest of their careers. And we should
That speaks highly of our department and your leadership. So thank you.
Exactly.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate it. It's a team sport, like I always say. And, it's, we're just glad to be back to those places. And for the chiefs that are here in the room or someone that came from another organization not too long ago that doesn't wear a badge, at least where we could see it on that suit jacket. It's pretty cool place, and appreciate the support that you've given us.
Is
So,
that
thank you.
Agent CFO Bothwell?
Yes. Yeah. That's perfect. Well, yes, yeah, in that group, in the current group, yeah, we do from Everett Fire. So I have cannot recall that happening in ever, maybe. So it's neat. Yeah, it's good stuff.
So what Commissioner Fahrenhoff said was what I was getting to. So
Oh, thank you.
it speaks to the program that you built up here.
Oh, thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you for that comment. I appreciate it. On behalf of
Any-
everybody. Thank you.
Any other commissioners have questions for the chief's report? All right, on to the legal report with
Thank you.
Attorney Richard Davis.
All right, good evening, commissioners. Over the course of the last month, we've been involved in the annexation agreements and amendment to the RFA plan dealing with both Briar and Montlake Terrace annexations. My partners, Matt Paxton and Frank Schmelik, have been involved in interviewing commissioners and fire chief in preparation for commission training, which is going to be held later this month. We've been involved in some personnel issues, public records issues, and have answered questions and on that topic. And finally, contract review and revisions. I come to you tonight with some more bad news about the public duty doctrine. And I've mentioned this before. Last time I talked about it, we had a case at the Court of Appeals level, which was a bad case. And that case was appealed to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court upheld that. And just to kind of briefly summarize what happened, the City of Seattle Fire Department responded to a call, medical emergency, and for a variety of reasons, did not arrive on scene as quickly as they could have. And when they did arrive on scene, the patient was in worse condition, and there was a lawsuit brought against the City of Seattle for negligence involved in responding to the call. And the Court of Appeals for Division I, which is where we are located, had held, surprisingly, that the public duty doctrine does not protect a fire department when it goes out on EMS calls. And the reason for that was kind of twofold. Number one, the court could find nothing in the statute that mandated that a fire department respond to EMS calls. Unlike fire, where you're required to respond, EMS was not a statutory mandate. Number two, the court found it important that there are private ambulance companies that also provide EMS services. So fire departments are not the exclusive provider of these services. And so why should a fire department enjoy greater immunity than a private ambulance company who's providing the same kind of service? So that was essentially the rationale that was given by the Court of Appeals. That case was appealed then to the Supreme Court, which pretty much their analysis was pretty much in alignment with the Division I of the Court of Appeals. So the upshot of all that is the fire department, the RFA in this case, is going to be on the same footing as really any private party in responding to an EMS call. And that means there's a duty of reasonable care. And you can no longer assert the public duty doctrine as a defense. With regards to calls that involve fire suppression, however, there would still be the opportunity to claim that doctrine as immunity. Any other services that the fire department might provide, unless it's statutorily mandated, would again not be covered by the public duty doctrine. So big development in that arena, and it just is kind of a further erosion of that very important doctrine that we've come to rely upon over the years. So kind of a historical change. Last thing I wanted to mention is The next meeting that I will be at is on March 7th. And prior to that, our firm is undergoing a name change. We've been Schmelik, Sicken and Davis for many years, since 1997. Our firm will change to CSD Attorneys at Law, which kind of recognizes the growth of the firm, the new attorneys that we have, very good talent that we have on board, and an expansion of our practice area, and just kind of a refreshing of our brand. So you'll start to see that in our communications. Our website will reflect that, and so forth. So I just wanted to mention that, since that will go live before I am at the next commission meeting. And that's all I have for tonight, and I'll open it up for questions.
Vice Chair Rowland, do you have your hand up?
Yes, in regards to that public duty doctrine case, are you aware of, or I guess is the outcome of this, that there needs to be legislative changes that cover the fire service and in a more explicit manner, so that we are subject to or have that at our disposal, or what are your thoughts around next steps?
That would be a fix. It is important to recognize the public duty doctrine is a court doctrine, a court created doctrine. And the theory was that if a government agency owes a duty to everyone, it doesn't owe a duty to any single person. So you can't be liable to any single individual. Again, there is a statutory mandate to provide fire service. So if there was a statutory mandate to also provide EMS services, then under the court's current rationale, and keep in mind that courts can change this public duty doctrine because it was a court created doctrine. But under the current Supreme Court case, if that was a mandatory requirement in the statute, then it would apply to EMS services.
Is this, I guess, comparable to like the qualified immunity doctrine that covers the police when it comes to the execution of their duties, or is it something completely different?
It's a different kind of doctrine. The qualified immunity doctrine protects certain individuals from discretionary decisions that are made, but that does not apply to the provision of EMS services. So that's not a defense that can be asserted. So I think you're on the right track. I don't know what the legislative appetite might be to change the statutes that pertain to regional fire authorities and fire districts, but a legislative fix would, I think, be appropriate in this case.
Just one last question there, and that would be, I guess, your knowledge of this doctrine. Is it one of those things that is protective in cases where it needs to be, but also sometimes shields, well, in the past was shielding departments from that were being negligent, and that's maybe part of this process, or is it kind of all good, all bad, or just like most things?
Well, it certainly would shield an agency that was acting in a negligent fashion, and it still would provide that kind of immunity to a fire department that responded to a fire and didn't put it out in an efficient manner and caused additional property damage. So yes, it does provide liability protection, does provide a shield to a department that is operating in a negligent fashion, but that was the purpose of the doctrine in the first place. And so again, there's been this erosion, and it's been going on for some years. I mentioned it a few years ago with a police action down in Tacoma, and the courts have been chipping away at this doctrine. So if it keeps on going, then government agencies would kind of be on the same footing as private parties when it comes to the actions that they take.
Gotcha. So it sounds like if we do want to take action on this or advocate for changes or a legislative fix for it, that would have to be borne in mind that it's not shielding, departments that are negligent from rightful claims, but at the same time helps out from, the types of things that just occur in the general course of the fire and the EMS service activities. So, all right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Thank you, Richard Davis, for your input.
Thank
your
you.
report. Yes, CSD. Unfinished business. Oh, yes, you know what? I am so sorry about that, President Moore. Thank you for joining us from Olympia.
Good evening, commissioners. Yeah, so we're down here, currently down in Olympia right now at our legislative conference. We spent the day at the Capitol, had 12 visits with our representatives. And it's been a good day up there. It's been busy. We got a lot of bills and whatnot that we're monitoring. 3 specifically, we're really monitoring. We've got 9 of our members down here representing us. And it's been a good day, but other than that, you know, the main one that we really were focusing on today, which doesn't impact us too much, but there's a lot of fire departments that are self-insured with their workers' compensation providers. And what we're finding is a lot of the presumptive laws that were in place as far as, you know, related to the job we do and whatnot, there's a lot of cities and agency or cities and even private companies that are large enough to have this. Basically, the third-party providers is becoming a problem where they're actually denying the claims. These members are then not getting the treatment and care they need, and they're having to go and basically hire an attorney and spend thousands of dollars, obviously, and then ultimately appeal it, and then they finally, you know, get awarded it. But it's many years after, and a lot of these people are not able to return to work. And so today we actually sat in and heard testimony from about six different people that are directly impacted from this. Pretty sad stories. It was pretty heartbreaking to watch what some of these individuals have gone through, and it's clear there's a problem with third party providers as far as that goes. So as far as, you know, those providers are going ahead and not even, you know, essentially having a doctor that's never even looked at these patients and whatnot and making determinations to deny their claim. And so, so that's one that we've been really focusing on. Obviously, like I said, it doesn't protect, it's not an issue for us personally, but it does impact all of our members, and we want to make sure everybody's getting taken care of, you know, in the workplace. So, and so a couple other ones, one that you may have heard about was Senate Bill 5520, and it's basically what it's doing is wanting to go ahead and separate the fire service from under the umbrella of those state patrol. So back in 95, we came under the umbrella of the state patrol essentially, and they kind of obviously govern our training, everything. And so there seems to be gaining a good amount of traction talking to our representatives on this. One of ours, Senator Marco Elias, he's actually the bill sponsor on this. And obviously, you know, we want to make sure that we have the real stakeholders that are impacted by decisions made for our job and the environment we work in, being the one making the decisions. And so another one that we're pushing pretty hard. And then there actually was another House bill too that was related to ambulance personnel. And there was a law passed back in 2020 that would allow basically like small, very rural departments to essentially have drivers that are non-EMS personnel on transport units. And so there's been a few agencies that have paid staff and whatnot and have gone ahead and exploited essentially a loophole in the law. And on their ALS units, which is paramedics, they're actually putting the second provider is not even a medically trained individual. And so there's a law right that we're trying to make a difference right now to where it's specifically ALS units are going to be required to at least have a minimum of an EMT on those for this. So we were thinking this was something that maybe we get taken care of with the fire chiefs reaching out to these agencies that were exploiting essentially this little loophole and see if they would correct it and do the right thing. And that doesn't seem to be working. So obviously now there's a you know, push to make a legislative law change. So, but and then one that may be of interest that we were kind of just informed about, and I don't have the bill number for it yet, but I know we just found out about today, as you know, back in the Iman years, right, the 1% cap that was put in place on all the local jurisdictions and whatnot as far as what you could get. There's a bill being introduced that would take that up to 3% basically that we could annually go for. But so again, I don't have the bill on that, but overall good day. Just been busy. So, and then right now we've got a reception going on where we actually invite all the representatives and their staff over and have dinner for them and everything. So, but outside of that, local 18, we've been participating in a few other events. We've also had a couple firefighter memorials, funerals that we've had to attend for line of duty deaths. So, but outside of that, commissioners, I don't think I have too much else to report, but if you have any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them for you.
I have a quick question for you. That last bill that you spoke of, do you know who the primary sponsor is?
Well, I don't believe she's actually the primary. I think it came out of her office, but it was actually one of our representatives now who lives in Station 76's area now, but April Berg.
Okay.
So, and then obviously talking to representatives, another thing too was just there's a hospital bill right now that has to do with staffing in the hospitals. And so they're very interested in that. And most of the representatives were not aware of the trickle down impact that's being felt by all the fire departments as far as wall wait times go and our units and stuff being out of service for extended periods of time of multiple hours, obviously. So they were very interested in that and, hoping that there's going to be some data that can be provided to them moving forward related to that bill. So as far as our wait times and whatnot, not necessarily specifically to us, but everybody, they want to know what it looks like and the impact is in the state.
Thank you, President Moore. Any other questions? Vice Chair Rowland.
I just wanted to say right now I ended up being out of town down in the Las Vegas area to do work with the city of North Las Vegas for my day job, and happened to fly in just as the International Association of Firefighters had their leadership training conference, and ran into one of the firefighters from Everett on the plane. I know you guys had talked about it, but it just didn't click on the dates until I was getting off the plane. So I wanted to thank the group that you sent down here. I was able to meet up with them and have a really good, productive conversation. Learn a little bit about one of the new documentaries that's coming out dealing with some of the carcinogenic effects in the fire service. And I kind of struck up the idea of trying to see if we could get screening of that going up here to show off to the firefighters and the local commissioners in the area, and really to help see what was revealed and what we can do kind of going into the future to address some of those health issues. So looking forward to working on that with you guys further, and hopefully we'll hear back from them soon. So thank you and your team.
You're welcome. Glad it worked out that where they were able to meet up with you.
Anyone else? All right. Thank you, President Moore, for your report.
Welcome. Hey guys, have a good night.
Now we're on to unfinished business. Chief Eastman, do you want me to take this one for the WFCA legislative day?
Go ahead.
All right. So with this one, it is coming up here on Friday, February 17th. As I understand it, there was only two of us that were interested in going down, and that was Commissioner Farnahoff and myself. The unfortunate part is that following Monday is a holiday, making it a 3-day weekend. Therefore, if you're in Olympia and you don't have to be in Olympia and you can do a Zoom meeting, you're likely going to execute on that. So that's not a good option for us to try and go down and do some FaceTime with our electeds, because they're probably not going to be there. And I really don't blame them. So we're going to figure out another time to go down there and do some FaceTime with them after the 17th. And it's a long session. So technically we have till the end of March or April 5th to get down there. Ideally, we'd want to be there before the middle of March to try and have some impact on legislation. So Chief Eastman, is there anything further?
Nope. You basically said what we've been talking about from a staff perspective, that we know that we're probably not going to see the people we want to see as a result of the President's Weekend. We are working on when the most appropriate day would be. We're thinking midweek. I know that's challenging for the folks that have their 9-to-5s, but if we want to make sure we're not going there on Fridays, we found out that there's a lot of folks that just don't work on Fridays anyway. They're working Monday through Thursday. So staff's working on when we think the appropriate time, and we're also looking at some of the bills that are out there that we've been discussing and maybe tie that opportunity into testimony and things that are going on with some of the legislation we're interested in, 5520, the Senate Bill 5520, one of them. And there's several others that we're watching and some that have trickled in to see when they're actually in committee, where they're on the process, and help that maybe drive a day to go, and maybe give us an opportunity to speak in either in favor of or in opposition to, or at least sign in saying, you know, South County's here and, you know, we support the bill, and sit and listen to testimony and add that to the rest of the day when we go talk to legislators. So we're working through that logistically, and we'll let you know what we find out.
Thank you. Speaking of Senate Bill 5520, I watched the first video and with Senator Leas, and I thought he did an excellent job teeing that one up. So I don't know if you had a chance to see it, but
I have not. I do talk to AJ Johnson, who's one of our newly promoted captains, who's down there as one of the lobbyists for the state council. And so I give him a call once or twice a week to find out what's coming that maybe not already have a bill or something's coming from the back, and using that to help with that. But no, I haven't seen it. I'll look it up and look
I
at
think
it.
it starts, it's like an hour and a half video, but for 5520, it starts right around the 25-minute mark.
I think they think that's very promising and has very good chance of success this session.
Thank you. On to item B, priorities exercise for discussion. So we have this other document that was given to us here at HQ because it came out so tiny. It's a list in alphabetical order of priorities for us to start our conversation. I'll try and take some of this offline so we don't have to take up too much time during the meeting to have discussion and figure out what's going on, and maybe do a doodle poll and see from the other commissioners what is important to them and go from there. Based on the list, does anybody have any questions? Commissioner Lawrence?
Yeah, is this the infamous dot exercise you're talking about?
Yes. Yes.
Are you changing your mind about wasting a lot of meeting time doing that? Is that it?
Well, right now at HQ, there's only 3 of us. So if we were to do it at HQ, I'd want there to be more than just 3 of us.
Right, no, I mean, that's what I was thinking. We could do this amongst ourselves online, email, spreadsheet, easy to do, I'm sure, for somebody that knows how to do a spreadsheet, or whatever. It's a total waste of time to have the staff sitting there watching us go up and put dots on the wall. So hopefully we could just do that online. You know, just emails.
I can coordinate something with our executive assistant so we don't violate the OPMA. So thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Okay. On to item C, apparatus replacement and refurbishment. With yes, with Shane, you're in the hot seat.
Good evening, commissioners. All right, so we have 3 items on this. The first one is an update on apparatus number 113. So in your packet and here on the screen is just some highlights of our unit that we're having refurbished. It's currently down at Fire Trucks Unlimited, just outside of, or actually in Henderson, Nevada. They have finished major fabrication modifications that we've requested. The undercarriage is been refurbished. You can see in the upper left photo has new suspension, new brakes. In the center photo, the powertrain, the refurbished powertrain has been installed. So that's an engine and transmission, which would have been dynoed off site. And then they are buttoning the drivetrain back together so they can put it into the body shop. So as you can see in the bottom right corner, it has been stripped on the outside as well as the interior. It's going to be sitting in the body shop for a few weeks, getting fresh paint and touching up some of the areas that needed to be addressed from wear and tear. currently on track still to have the unit complete in April. And then it will be delivered back up to us after we go down and do a final inspection. So does anyone have any questions about 113?
How many apparatuses are in Henderson at the moment in time?
Of ours, we only have one.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions?
Just wanted to say that that's just down the road from me, and I was planning on giving them a call and seeing if I could swing by and take a few pictures of the site. But it looks like you guys got that part covered, at least from the the rig side. But I still might try to swing by and see their operation in action.
Yeah, they provide a link to their website that has updated progress photos. So currently there's over 200 photos. And then I have a contact down there. We can request specific areas to be looked at if necessary, but they've been really good about letting us know what they've been doing and keeping that site updated.
That's great. Thank you.
Welcome. All right, next is the refurbishment schedule or the refurbishment spreadsheet. So this is a tool that I use to estimate what we're going to be replacing out into the future. It only is truncated to 2025. It actually goes out to 2050. The variables that we use when we look at vehicle replacement are the areas, the columns in green, whether or not it's currently scheduled for a replacement or a remount, if it's a case of an aid unit, or refurbishment like we're doing with our current engine. We update the cost as we know it to reflect current market conditions. And then we have an estimated lifespan. Obviously, this lifespan is very dynamic. We can have vehicles taken out prematurely like we did last year due to no fault of our own, or we can run these vehicles longer than they were originally intended for. But we always consult with the shop, City of Linwood. Lauren over there gives us input constantly as far as what is on the short list for refurbishment or replacement, usually because of mechanical fault. But this just, like I said, this is just a tool for gauging how much we're going to need out in the future. And there's a couple other indexes near the top, like the current present day replacement cost of our entire fleet, if we were just to drop everything and start fresh. And then how much of funding that we estimate we'll need on a constant basis if we replace only what we currently own. Obviously, there's a lot of other factors that go into this, but this is just one of the tools we use to maintain our fleet. So. Okay.
I feel like I have a lot of questions tonight.
Go ahead, Vice Chair Rowland.
Oh, yeah, just one quick thing. I saw in there the ones that were overdue. I completely understand maybe they're lower on mileage than what we would expect their lifespan to be, but I didn't quite see where that was on there. Just want to make sure that any of those, I'm sure, the shop is giving us good advice. That's all.
Yep. Yeah, we always consult with the shop before we disposition anything. So.
Okay.
All right. Next, request to purchase the next tiller or TDA. So in the packet should have been information regarding the purchase, the quote from Hughes Fire. This is similar. This is a Pierce ladder. This will be a tiller. So similar to the TDA that we just are bringing into service now, we're currently training on. The procurement method is HGAC, so that's consistent with what we've been doing. And then probably the one thing that is changing is the election of the discounts that Pierce offers to us. We're electing for the chassis progress discount. So that is payment of the chassis portion of the apparatus about 3 months before it's due to be completed. There's the aerial progress. So since this has a ladder unit on it, that is built on a separate assembly line. There's a 2-month before delivery discount available for paying for that piece of the equipment. And then finally, there is the paying for the remainder of the equipment upon completion at the factory. So we are recommending we elect all three of those progress discounts, which will bring our total of this vehicle to just under 2.3 million after tax.
Is that in alignment with what we discussed at the last meeting?
This is in alignment with what we discussed. In this instance, we weren't going to do the prepayment, 100% prepayment, which we did elect to do on the engines. This unit currently has a 36 to 40 month lead time. So a lot of uncertainty out there.
Right. So as I recall, we had a conversation around with CFO Bothwell. I think maybe not. You weren't here. The 2% versus 4% cash on hand. So that's where I was curious if this what you have here was in alignment with that. And I know that Chris isn't in a position to, Commissioner Teoflag's not in a position to speak. Is there any way you can type what you know I'm talking about, Chris?
I think my voice is getting a little bit better.
Okay.
No, we had just talked about, from my memory, just the interest that you can earn.
Right.
And so the interest rate right now on the fund that we keep this money in is paying 4.56%. And the Federal Reserve will probably raise rates potentially by another like 0.5%. My thinking is they'll probably keep them that way for the remainder of the year. So we'll probably earn at least 4.5% going forward for us the next 12 months, I would assume. So yeah, it's definitely best for us to not do a prepayment because the math is that we would earn much more interest than the savings of the prepayment.
Thank you. So with that being said, Shane, does that sound about that your proposal is in alignment with that?
Correct. It is within alignment. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? High level, what is the difference between the tiller that we have at Station 10 and what you've proposed here? Is there much of a difference?
Shane, I'll take that if you want me to.
Yeah, that'd be great.
This is a sister rig to that one. So
Basically a twin?
Yeah,
Okay.
basically.
That's
So
all I was looking for.
about three years apart. So very little changes were done. That's not to say that there couldn't be, in the next 3 years, some, technology that changes or something that we might want to do later in the process. But this was basically a sister rig
to start. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, question.
Yeah.
Chief Isotelo, where do you anticipate this new tiller going and in replacement, which station?
With the current deployment, we have a ladder truck at Station 10 and at Station 14. Chief Chalfant and I, working with Chief Hovis, and hopefully soon in the next couple of years to be working with the board. We think the best location for one of these tillered apparatus is at Station 15 in the heart of Linwood. But that would mean that we would have to add that apparatus and staffing to that station because we also need an engine there as well. And so we would probably work with Bob and his group and look at the data to see where best we can, with one at Station 15, where the other one, as you know, we've had at Station 22 years ago, we had it at Station 11, it was at Station 21. So I think really with the deployment changes in that, I would like to see the data to kind of see where it would best reach the rest of the RFA. But what we know with the construction that's happening in Linwood and Sound Transit and all of these things, Station 15 is going to be ideal for the southern half of the RFA.
But if it was going to replace a ladder today, where would it go? I know you're thinking about 15 for the future.
It
but
would
where it go?
probably remain at 14 for now as we continue to collect data on our deployment to see where it could go. I mean, there's an idea, you put them in the middle and they respond out, or you put them at either end in that. So I hate to do that just off of my chiefly gut feeling, Commissioner Kenny, and would rather use the data to help support that decision.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Yeah.
So it brings up a question with putting let's say we're 3 years down the road and we're talking about putting the tiller at 15 and we have an engine there. So the tiller requires 3
That's correct. Additional,
and then the engine would require 3 as well.
yeah, under our current staffing
then
model. Yes,
We have an ALS unit there.
there is a medic unit there as well.
And so that's another 2.
That's another 2.
So we're at 3,
There's
and
an
2.
aid car,
So we're at 10 people,
a battalion chief,
11,
and a CRP.
12 plus the social worker with the CRP, that makes 13.
Mhm.
Baker's dozen. Do we have room at 15 for that many head count?
My understanding is that we would.
Okay.
But we may have to do some adjusting. The bigger part is apparatus and
That was my
and
question
fitting
is,
these apparatus.
what
so-
about the SWAT vehicle? Would that have to be?
Yeah, and I think the intent long term is that when they get their new public safety complex down there for Linwood PD is that they'll be housing that at their facility then. So
Having grown up in Linwood, I remember that the fire department had acquired the little house next door, the backside of the parking lot there behind 15. Does the city own that parcel of land? Do they sell it back?
that I don't know, Chief. What was?
I don't know. I think that was during the time frame when the old Station 15 was being demolished and then rebuilt there. So I don't believe that they own that. At least if looks like there's somebody living in there, we better tell the city. So
No, I was just thinking about the head count and staffing and sleeping quarters is where I was coming from there.
yeah, no, Chief Metter, former Commissioner Metter built that as a big house with the anticipation that Linwood would grow out or that Linwood would become part of what was the fire district before the city of Linwood was incorporated or part of a regional fire authority. So when you start counting the bedrooms, some of which are being used for other activities, like you mentioned, the social worker for Compass, you can comfortably staff up to 14 people in that fire station without remodel. But as far as the apparatuses go, you've got your 5 bays and you've got your 2 bays. So we're not going to be able to do much past that. But he did build that with the eye to the future. Why it doesn't have the drive-through bays because of the parking in back, the flat roof to keep everybody on the first floor and the multiple Get Smart doors that you can, everything dumps out into the apparatus bay floor to make sure that you've got quick response times. So very ahead of its time.
Very much so, it sounds like. So we're following in alignment with his long-range plan for the station.
That is correct.
Thank you. And thank you, Shane and Chief Isatella, for your information. I was just curious and trying to just do the quick math in my head. I'm like, wait, I know that we have people there now, but I'm not sure it can grow much. So thank you. Any other questions? All right. On to new business. Assistant Chief Eastman for the 2023 benefit charge appeals resolution.
So this will be really, really quick. This is an administrative. Mine's green. It's administrative process. As we discussed last year, there's a resolution in your packet on page 86. Was with the benefit charge annually, we have to establish an appeals board. The resolution states CFO Bothwell, myself, and Leslie Hines. And it sets it for the appeals board will be seated from the 15th of February through the 15th of April. And appeals have to be in by the close of business on the 1st of April. Exactly what we did last year. And if everybody recalls last year, we had no appeals. Mill Creek is new. So there's a possibility of having appeals with regards to the benefit charges because it's new to that subset of the RFA. And so staff would ask the board to consider and pass the resolution to establish the appeals board. And in the future, staff would like to entertain that next year, you'll see this every first meeting of April. And in the future, like to know if you guys would like to just see this in consent as a general administrative role that we do for business, and we don't anticipate the dates or the general process for what we're doing to change. The only thing will be is the names of who's actually going to make up that board. So if it's okay with the board, I know that's a year away. But because it's an administrative thing, in the future, we bring this forward in consent rather than under new business or old business. If the board would like to see that, that's what we'll move forward with.
Thank you. Any questions?
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Commissioner Kenny.
Chief Eastman, I would just comment that I appreciate that suggestion, but because it involves a unique function of South County Fire involving appeals from these charges that are not commonplace in Snohomish County. And I appreciate there were no appeals last year. But because it's something different, it's not what although we may do it once each year, we're not generally in that business regularly. My suggestion is that we keep it on, not have it in consent, but rather have it on the main calendar, just so you can make this short presentation and we can all be refamiliarized with the fact that we are running an appeals process. And if people don't like it, what's happening, they have an opportunity to express themselves and, have it recorded for anybody that watches. I just think that's useful because it is something that we don't do regularly. So just my 2 cents.
Okay, thanks.
Anyone else? All right. Thank you, Commissioner Kenny.
Are we ready for a motion?
Yes, if you want to go ahead and read the recommended action.
I'll move resolution 0207-2023-03, the resolution to establish the benefit charge appeals review board for calendar year 2023.
Do we have a second? Second, Commissioner Farrenhoff. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. All right, motion carries.
Thank you.
Hey, Derek, I have a question.
Yeah.
For the tiller thing.
Uh-huh.
Will we vote on that next regular meeting?
Yes.
Cool. Okay.
On to item 11B with myself for the Public Records Officer Appointment Resolution for discussion. And this year, in 2018, resolution to appoint Melissa Blankenship as a Public Records Officer. And for discussion only, reviewed the draft appointment for Amy Nay as a Public Records Officer. And so staff contact would be our executive assistant, Melissa Blankenship. And so Melissa trained up Amy, and now Amy is the primary contact in short. Is there any questions for myself or Melissa? Commissioner Kenny?
Question, what's the resolution number for this? I don't see.
It's the very last page in the packet.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Okay, that's fine.
Looks good. Commissioner Kennedy, did you have any questions? Did you get a chance to look it over at least?
Oh, no, looks fine.
Okay.
Just didn't see the resolution number.
that's fine.
I thought we were taking action tonight.
Yeah,
so,
no, not tonight, but I just
if
wanted
we-
to at least give you a chance to review and
Yeah.
comment. So, okay.
And with the resolution number at our next meeting where we take action, that sounds good.
Yes, and our next meeting will be a special meeting. Typically, our second meeting is a workshop, but it'll be a special meeting.
Sounds
So-
good. Next week then.
And then, wow. Committee updates. Vice Chair Rowland, do you have anything for the Bylaws Committee?
Nothing since our last report.
Okay. And then we don't have anything for intergovernmental tonight, as I recall. And finance for Snow 911 meets on Thursday, then the regular monthly meeting is the following Thursday, so I don't have anything either. Commissioner comments? Once, twice?
I have one.
Okay, Commissioner Farnoff.
Yeah, I just want to acknowledge that we've had as far as a global event, a very serious set of earthquakes that have affected Turkey. And just prior to that catastrophic failure of buildings and entrapment of people, we also had published in the Herald basically an article called Megaquake, Population Isolation resulting from collapses of bridges and so forth around South County. And this is something that we're definitely going to be paying attention to and trying to acknowledge exactly what the planning will be. So very much an interest on the board's part to look at emergency preparedness for our backyard. And I just wanted everybody to keep that in the collective consciousness as we monitor both global events and events that are happening locally.
Thank you. All right, let's see here. It is 7:56. We'll move into executive session for the review the performance of a public employee pursuant to RCW 42.30.110 sub 1 sub G as in George, and potential litigation pursuant to RCW 42.30.110 sub 1 sub I as Ingrid, and with potential action to follow. And we what?
Commissioner Kenny add one towards the end.
Right, well, that's after the exec session. And then we will go till 8:30 or 33 minutes.
The executive session has been extended by 30 minutes. The executive session has been extended by 30 minutes. The executive session has been extended by 30 minutes.
All right, I need to take care of two house cleaning items. First, that Commissioner Chan has an excused absence for tonight, as well as board member liaison Mike Todd has an excused absence tonight. Commissioner Lawrence.
Yeah, are we ready for action?
We are.
All right. I would like to make a motion.
Go
to
for it.
Raise the chief's pay to 10% over whatever at any time we're giving the that the assistant chiefs get.
Motion on the floor is to raise the fire chief's salary above, so that it's 10% above the assistant chiefs. Do we have a second? It's been moved by Commissioner Lawrence and seconded by Commissioner Farnoff. Any discussion? None seeing. Oh, Commissioner Kenny.
Yes, thank you. I am opposed to Commissioner Lawrence's motion. I believe that Chief Hovis has performed poorly in 2022, and he has not earned a raise. Since August of 2022, Chief Hovis has terminated, forced out, placed on long-term administrative leave, or forced into retirement 5 non-unionized employees from our headquarters staff, including 3 of the top 4 subordinates of Chief Hovis. Of the 5, only 1 remains. During the termination processes, I never heard Chief Hovis talk about progressive discipline or about the staff's adopted values, including family, compassion, and humility. I only heard about termination. There's plenty of blame to go around out of the circumstances from this past fall, but the managerial buck stops with Chief Hovis. He hired many of these top employees. When problems arise, I need a manager who can manage. Firing everyone is not the answer. It tells me more about the manager than it does about the employees. In my 20 years on the board and 6 fire chiefs, I have never seen a fire chief terminate so many senior people in such a short period of time. Our organization deserves better management. Forcing out all these people sends a chill over our non-unionized staff. If you cross the chief, you'll be gone. That's not a message that will encourage employees to tell the chief the truth. Rather, it encourages them to tell him what he thinks he wants to hear. There is an answer for headquarters staff for those that can unionize and get for-cause termination protections. The chief currently makes $230,734 annually. With this raise, 10% above the assistant chiefs who make $255,000. This is a 21.5% increase, salary increase. The chief will now make $280,500. The board rewards the chief's performance with this raise. All I can say is, I dissent. Thank you.
Commissioner Teoflock, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I think the chief's done a good job leading us through COVID and really through COVID. That was a great job he did then, and I think he did a good job this year. But I'll vote no just because it's like Commissioner Kenny said, like a 21.5% raise, and it's just a little bit more than I'm comfortable with. More, I like a 15% raise, which would be to $265,000. So I just want to make sure I made it clear that I think the chief's done a great job. I just don't want the increase to be 21%. Thanks.
Anyone else?
Comment.
Commissioner Farnhoff.
Yeah, I just want to echo what Commissioner Teoflock has mentioned. I think the chief has done a remarkable job, at least in the time that I've been here, navigating very tough issues, managing and dealing with various mayors throughout the construct of a very complex and evolving regional fire authority. It may be excessive to support Commissioner Lawrence's proposal, but it's a starting place in the discussion. And I think I would welcome other commissioners to give their particular solution here and now.
Anyone else? Any other comments? Vice Chair Rowland.
So I don't believe I can agree with the assessment made by Commissioner Kenny, nor the characterization of how it should, what has happened over the 10 years should be interpreted by staff. I think that the comments honestly are reckless and suggest that staff should believe this exists because Commissioner Kenny believes it exists. I don't think that's the case. I think that there are always occasions where individuals leave, have poor performance, or have other issues, and that this isn't down to anyone's criticism of the chief at the end of the day. I think that I don't know where to start with all of the comments that were made there because I can't agree with them. That having been said, the whole organization, the most that anyone has received across the entire organization is 9% of COLA. And going 21%, I understand the argument that the chief should earn more than his subordinates, you know, throughout our culture, throughout our businesses, throughout everything, you know, the top of the chain, food chain is the top of the food chain. In our state, the governor doesn't earn that much. And in fact, the highest paid governor in the entire country doesn't earn that much. Fire districts are different. We have comparables. So we use those as our base. When we went over the comparables for the union contract, we looked at the other 10 agencies in our area, and we stuck to the middle of the pack for our firefighters. I think that was a fair and responsible thing to do. This raise would put us at number 2. And that carries with it longer term implications on where we go as an organization. Does that mean now the next time that we have renegotiations across the board that we should be number 2 for our firefighters? Should we be number 2? You understand what I'm saying? We've now put the chief in a different class when it comes to the way that we try to position ourselves in our comparables. And so I don't know what the impact of doing that would be. And I think I would definitely need a lot more data around these comparables and where they put their assistant chiefs and their DCs. If we're going to make the argument that we need to base the chief's pay off of a percentage of his subordinates, well, are those percentages in line with our comparables? If we're doing that out for firefighters all the way up, if the jumps are exactly the same, then I would say that our comparables would all be the same, and then the fire chief would be the same. But I don't have any of that data. And right now, I can't speak to the salary of the ACs in the past and how it got to where it is, or the chief and how it got to where it is. I know we have 2 brand new ACs that were brought on. The 3 total that were brought on just now. You know, there's tenure, there's all sorts of arguments, you know, why certain positions get to certain dollar amounts. I don't know. I think that right now it's one of the toughest decisions I think I've had to make, because I think that I have great respect for the chief. I have great respect for all of the staff in this organization, and trying to open my eyes to the bigger picture and take that into consideration. I think that I need more time to really come to a good conclusion on it before I would be comfortable with that much of a jump all at once, and be comfortable explaining that jump and everything else that's associated with it to the people that I represent. So I would prefer that we postpone this motion, that we it's not table it, but postpone it to our next meeting. And I would motion that we do that. I move that we postpone this matter until our next meeting, where we are conducting votes, which I believe would be the 3rd Tuesday of this month.
The next meeting is a special meeting, so we can take action, or we could take action at the 3rd meeting, which would be the 3rd Tuesday as you proposed, just as a point of clarification.
I'm not sure what's on the agenda for the next meeting. If that's already been called, then we'd have to place this on the agenda for it to be able to be considered at the next meeting. If we can do that, maybe that short of a period of time would be enough to get the data that it would take to, you know, make a decision on this. But I will modify that motion, since we do have this special meeting, that we postpone the consideration of the question until the next meeting, the special meeting that's on the 14th.
Is there a second for the postponing the motion? I'm not seeing a second, so the motion fails. Now that everybody else has had a chance to speak, I'll go ahead and speak and say that I have been personally impressed with Chief Hovis and his accomplishments. That he has led this organization through some incredulous times, and had this be the think tank for the county in the COVID, and invited and had open doors to invite other fire chiefs in to have conversations. I've heard nothing but praise from both the represented and non-represented staff with his leadership. I was alluding to that at the beginning of this meeting when he was giving his report, and I was asking questions about the laterals, and knowing that people that come here have to give up their time at other agencies and basically come in at ground zero when they come here. And to, as he said, anything over 5 years, you lose that opportunity. And so with 8 years, one person I was told came in, and then with people coming in from not only just it's common for some agencies for people to lateral in, but to transfer in from Everett Fire, you know, that speaks loudly to his credit and his character. And so again, I think that he's just an incredible person. I also echo what Commissioner Fahrenhoff said about his comments earlier with regards to that that salary bump. when I was asking for some clarification to understand how the ACs got to where they're at. And that was from a salary review. Chief Hovis, you said that was a salary review from 2020, is that correct? And in 2020, who commissioned that salary review? Was that the Board of Commissioners that pushed that one?
It wasn't a push as much as it was a refresh of an existing salary survey that had been conducted by Dr. Victoria McGrath.
And who authorized her to do that review? Was that the Board of Commissioners or was that the former fire chief?
No, it was the current fire chief to get the refresh done because the other one had been dated,
Okay.
brought to the commission, and who has accepted some portions of it. And then a COLA, if I recall correctly, was given to the entire staff. That was brought back by the board later time to make those salary recommendations from Ms. McGrath accepted by the majority of the board, and those were put forward into action by
That
the RFA.
board acceptance, who was at the helm? Who was chair at the time? Last year would have been
Top of
Chair
my head,
Urban.
Chair Urban. Yeah.
Okay. Thank
Sorry,
you.
there's been a lot of turnover.
No, I understand. I just wanted to make sure. So,
Yes.
all right. And then, so that 280,000 that you spoke of, that monthly comes out to just over 23,300. And that would put the salary of the fire chief at number 3 position. Number 1 going to Snohomish Regional Fire and Rescue at just over 24,000. Number 2 to Puget Sound Fire at 23,700. And so this motion would make that a number 3 slot of our 10 comparables. And those 10 were arbitrated, if I remember correctly. Is that the correct term?
They were, agreed to by, I think it was Alan Krebs was the arbiter for the original South County Fire Local 1828 collective bargaining agreement for 2018 through 2020.
And so those 10 agencies that I have information on are Everett, Puget Sound Fire, Fire District 7, AKA Surfer, Renton, South King, Tacoma, Bellevue, Redmond, Eastside Fire and Rescue, and Central Pierce. So that would put us at number 3 spot. Yes, it is a significant number to deal with, and it is not an easy decision. However, I feel strongly that the CEO should be paid at least 10% more than the number 2. And in this case, the number 2 are our 3 assistant chiefs. So for those reasons, I would be voting yes for this. Commissioner Farnoff, you had mentioned that you wanted something, and then Commissioner Lawrence, you'll be next after Commissioner Farnoff.
Thank you, Chair Daniels. Yeah, I just want to echo some of these key points, and that is when we look at the comparables across the region, obviously we're not on par as number 6, right, on the list by comparison to the different departments currently, right? Paid less than the subordinates. So that is also, I have to agree that the leader of the organization needs to be paid at least competitively throughout the system. And again, it's based on exceptional leadership. This is not, you're not somebody who we can easily just replace. Your institutional knowledge, your relationships, your incredible memory is a testament. And really, it doesn't boil down to my opinion as much as when I solicit the opinion of the staff, the field, the people that are on the line, I time and again get positive remarks that the department has not only turned around from what it was, it has an exceptionally strong board, an exceptionally strong leader, and this is not easily replaced. You're not a plug and play asset that we can simply go to Kelly Services and ask for a fire chief. So I just want to put that out there. And so in terms of the 10%, even though, as you say, it's a strong number to swallow, it's certainly deserved. And I, again, will reiterate, invite the fellow commissioners, if 10% is something that is intolerable, please recommend something that is.
Thank you. Commissioner Lawrence.
Yes, Chief, can you explain why chiefs don't get a substantial percentage increase over assistant chiefs industry-wide? I mean, do you have any idea what the average is? It's not a substantial when you have, in my opinion, 3 times the stress level workload. Could you help help us with understanding that?
I think it's maybe because some of the chiefs at the lower levels have that RCW 4156 collective bargaining that's setting a floor, Commissioner Lawrence, and but your fire chiefs are usually, unless they're in a municipal organization, contract employees that work with their governance to negotiate a rate of pay. And I think that might be a basis for that. I don't know if that helps or not, but I think that's just the nature of the industry, and I can't tell you why.
So let's say if we had just gone along and did a COLA and a little bit more, not knowing, with forgetting about what the assistant chiefs made. It was just kind of, dawned, the chair started asking questions, and wait a sec, the assistant chiefs are getting this amount. The chief's not making that. You're being paid less than the assistant chiefs. What? Would you be happy with that, continuing with that? Is that, makes that make you feel good to be paid less than your people working for you?
I think to answer the first part, I think I was not subject, to my knowledge, to the salary survey, whether one was done for me in 2020, 2021, or 2022. I know that wasn't the case. So I know there has existed some wage compression that's happened because of that, because I'm not subject to the salary survey. I feel good about all of the current members of our organization, whether represented or not represented, and how they perform for our organization. And I feel good about where we're at in our organization. You probably figured out that I'm not always the best at maybe advocating for myself. One of my little superpowers is I advocate for others. And when people, come at me a little sideways, I just kind of let it roll off my back like water off a duck. And I'm proud of the 27 years I've been here. And I'm proud of what I've accomplished with this team, with this commission currently, and the commissioners before. And I'll continue to show up every day and do the best job I can, even if I wasn't going to get a raise. And that's me. And I will make the choices for me that are best for me and my family, whatever that looks like moving forward. Once I get to retirement age, that's going to be my choice. But I feel blessed to be in this spot. I feel blessed to be able to make the money I'm doing to serve our communities and work for the 7 of you. And no matter what Chief O'Brien's making, or the chief of Puget Sound Regional Fire Authority, or these other, 7 or 8 chiefs that are out there, they work for the public that they serve. And they work for those commissioners or elected council peoples, or city managers or mayors. And at the end of the day, you all make the decision on my employment. And I'll walk out of this meeting tonight, whether you make a decision or not, or push this to the second meeting or the third meeting, understanding my place. And I will come to work with a smile on my face, with the same attitude, whether the 3 assistant chiefs or the 6 deputy chiefs all make more money than me.
Okay, all right. Thank you for that. I would like to respond to some things were said earlier, and that is, I do believe Commissioner Kinney took some information and drew the completely wrong conclusion. Yes, you had to fire people, not in the way you preferred to do it. If things were forced upon you because of some poor decisions that were made by certain particular individuals. And so that was forced. But you knew you had some issues you had to deal with, but we're just getting over 3 years of intense dealing with COVID. And like I have said before, I didn't get a ship across the ocean and get back into port safely by accident. Okay, it took a lot of work on a lot of people's parts. There was nobody got fired during COVID like in other districts that are now getting sued. Okay, we accommodated. The staff bent over backwards. The board You informed the board about how we should vote on. We made the accommodations. We did that. We did all sorts of stuff. You did things that we won't even ever hear about. That you're putting out probably fires every day here and there. We didn't hear about them. You don't hear about when things are going smoothly. You don't hear about it but that takes a huge amount of intelligence, ability, knowledge, experience to do that. And so that's what's being overlooked by certain individuals here, that it doesn't happen by accident. And we have a top-notch chief, and we should pay him more than we pay his assistants. And I think 10% is a little parsimonious, but it seems like that's doable in this political climate that we have on the board at the moment. And I'd like to go through with the vote and see where we're at.
Commissioner Rowland, Vice Chair Rowland.
I'm just a simple IT guy, so I don't know what parsimonious means, honestly. I need to look it up. My understanding from our bylaws, and I'm asking this question to Commissioner Kenny, since he was one of the original authors, and he's been here the longest out of all of us, is that in a situation like this, where we don't have 7 members here, it's the same. It would take 4 members to pass something if 6 are present and voting, and that under bylaw 2.2, abstentions don't count towards that total. So if someone abstains, that would then move down to a majority of 5, and it would only take 3 to pass this. Is that correct, Commissioner Kenny? I tried to consult with Melissa on this. All right.
Yes, that's my understanding.
That puts me in a difficult place because I'm not right there where I don't want to say no. I don't want to say no to this. I'm just, throughout our conversations over the past month on this, there was, different numbers thrown around, and tonight new facts were added that significantly changed the trajectory of this. And I'm reeling from that change. I came in prepared for a certain, approach, and it moved. Because an abstention would cause this to go through, and a no would cause it to have to be reconsidered again. At this point, I'm going to have to vote no, but only because I need that time to be able to say yes, or even to say no, and give another number. I think that, again, this is a tough decision, and had we had these facts in front of us and been arguing them for a couple of weeks and gotten my head wrapped around it, I'd be able to make a decision. So I just want to say that the no vote tonight is not a no vote to the concept or to the motion. It is merely just to buy myself the time I need to think on it.
Understood. I got this information just yesterday myself, and coming down here to HQ and having conversations with people. So I haven't been sitting on the information for very long myself. So I think everybody's had a chance to participate in the discussion. So let's move.
Since the motion didn't come to the floor for lack of a second, I'm going to again ask that we postpone this to the next meeting and see if somebody agrees to get it, and we can vote on it. If the votes no, then that's fine. But I'm going to ask for that so that I don't have to make the decision of saying no to this. But it's up to you guys if you want to do that.
I'm going to table the motion until next meeting. Commissioner Lawrence, you're on mute.
We'll need to.
So you can do that? I thought I have to do something since I made it.
We would need to vote as a majority to postpone it to the next meeting. The tabling would only be valid if we were going to take it up later in this meeting, or if the original motion maker pulls it back. Those are the only two options we have to vote.
We have to go through with the vote here.
Commissioner Kennedy.
Yeah, point of order, the chair can't table anything. Only the board can table it.
Yeah,
Takes a vote.
yeah. Sorry about that, Chief.
No, that's fine.
Yeah,
Is that an effective second to postponing it to the next meeting?
Yes. So it has been moved and seconded to postpone the vote to the next meeting. Is there,
Point of information or point of clarification, Commissioner Daniels, you're seconding the motion.
correct?
Thank you.
That's why
Yeah.
I paused when he asked me that question.
The only thing I will say in support of the motion beyond what I've already said is the fact that, you know, even our chair only got this today. We're all getting this information new. It's all new for us. I think it's only prudent for us just to take more than an hour to process it. So I would ask that you guys vote yes and give us that time.
well, next time I make the motion, it's gonna be 15%.
All right. Is there any discussion for the motion to postpone? All right. All those in favor of postponing this to the next meeting, say aye. Aye. All those against say nay.
Nay.
Nays
Nay.
have it. Okay. So back to the original motion of 10%. All those in favor of the 10%, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
It's 3. All those opposed, say nay.
Nay.
I'm abstaining.
And so we have 1 abstention. So then by that motion, as I understand it, what was spoken earlier is that there's 6. And so with 1 abstention makes 5. Simple majority of 5 is 3. And so the ayes have it, that the chief gets a 10% raise.
And-
Or 10% above the assistant chiefs.
Point of clarification, Mr.
Yes.
Chair, just that it passes on a 3-2-1 motion with 1 abstention, Commissioner Rowland.
Correct.
Very good.
Spot on.
Thank you.
And that was the action to come out of the executive session. And so with that, I don't have any further business, so I adjourn the meeting. Oh, are there any? Nope. All right. Chief Hovis.
I just wanted to say thank you, commissioners. That's very generous. And this is a recorded meeting. I don't know if staff's watching, if there is anyone still left at this time of night, but it's a good example of the careful thought and consideration that goes into a lot of decisions that the RFA makes with good leadership. Whatever way this would have came out, some very careful consideration. And I appreciate all of the comments that were made tonight. So thank you again. That's very generous, and proud to be a member of this organization, proud to lead it. So that is my comment. So thank you, commissioners.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Hovis. And with that, Commissioner Farnoff.
Yeah, just one closing comment. I do want to just say thank you to all the commissioners. Each one of your points of view were valid in your own way, in your experience and what you brought to the table. And I also want to thank all of the staff that are at the fire stations right now that are listening to us and have watched this process. You're part of the conversation, whether you know it or not. We do listen to what you have to say, and that's by and large why we moved in the direction that we did this evening. So thank you for all you do, and thanks for everybody that's paying attention.
I echo what Commissioner Farnoff said. And with that, at 10:32, I adjourn the meeting.